Good day, grade 10. I hope you're all well. It's Miss Cartwright here with the lessons for week 8. So, we're starting a new unit. I know the last unit on justice was extremely short, but it was good that we got those topics in because they're quite common in the BGCSE. So, we're going to be looking at war and peace for the next few weeks until we finish for summer. So, our objectives for lesson 1 are to define some key terms, to explore reasons why people go to war, and to analyse the biblical view of war. So while we're looking at this unit, I want you to think about certain things as we're studying it. So is it ever justified for a country to go to war? Would you fight to defend another country? Would you fight if your country went and invaded another country? Or would you be prepared to go to prison rather than fight? And would you fight to defend your family? Obviously, there's no right answer to any of those questions. It's just these things that I want you to be thinking about as we're looking at war and peace. And as always, just think about how your views might change as we study this unit. Okay, so some key terms. So a war is an armed conflict between different countries or different groups within a countries, as opposed to peace, which is the opposite of war, where there is no fighting, a state of mutual harmony. To retaliate is to make an attack against someone or against a country in return for a similar attack. That means if someone does something to you, you do something similar back to them. To take revenge is to inflict punishment on someone for something they have done to you, so to take vengeance for. Pacifism is the belief that fighting is always wrong. So a pacifist would be a person that believes that war should never be viable. Justice is making things fair. So we looked at the last unit. To be just is to make sure you're doing what is right and fair. And the final term, which you all should know, is the sanctity of life. So, this idea that life is special and it's sacred and therefore it should be protected. And I want you to have that in the back of your mind as we're looking at this introduction to war. So, reasons why people go to war. There are many, many reasons, and some of these are acceptable according to some people. So, for example, to defend your country against an attack, to defend your way of life, to maintain your religious beliefs and your freedom of religion, to defend an ally, so that's a country which you are allegiance to, or to protect a weaker country, to stop atrocities happening, for example, genocide, mass murder, to stop them things happening, or to get rid of a dictator. Some reasons which might not be so acceptable, to gain more land, or to gain land that was previously lost, to gain wealth and resources, to gain power, or to impose your beliefs or your way of life on another country. Okay, so for part 1, you're going to watch this video, you're going to read the scriptures and complete activity 1, which I'll go through, and upload activity 1 along with, upload the assignment part 1 along with assignment part 2 onto Plus Portal. So assignment 1, you have to find the biblical references. This is a lot easier now you have Google in front of you. You can just copy and paste the biblical reference. Please use the Good News version. So first of all, find the biblical scripture and make sure it's in there. So that'll be a mark each for the biblical scripture, and then a mark each for saying the meaning of it. So basically put the scripture into your own words and talk about the repercussions of it. So I've done the first one for you, which is Babylonia, you are my hammer, my weapon of war. I used you to crush nations and kingdom. And I've interpreted that this means that there are times when God has actually had to destroy nations, and he's used other nations to do that. So he used Babylonia to crush other nations. So therefore, this is saying that war was necessary and it had to happen. So for assignment part 1, I want you to find these 3 other biblical references and give me your interpretation. Okay, so part two, we're going to describe different types of wars, to look at the causes of war and the effects of war. And obviously, these lists aren't exhaustive. There are so many causes of war and so many effects that we're just going to specifically identify a few of them. Okay, so there are many, many different types of wars, and this is evolving all of the time. We've had world wars, World War One and World War Two, and this is where countries all over the world go against each other. And usually, what will happen is countries will form alliances with certain other countries against other countries, the opposing sides. Another type of war is civil war. And this is within a country. So this is when part of the population goes to war against another part of the population, and usually in open conflict. Okay, another type of war is what we call a religious war. So, this is when people from the same country or from different countries take up arms against people of another religion or against a sect within a religion. Please note, I'd say here with a religious war, sometimes certain wars, for example, the war in Afghanistan, has been reported as a religious war. However, looking into it, there might be other reasons for it other than religion, and religion might be the face of it, but actually it might have to do with other things as well, similar to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict as well. Cyber war, and this is a new type of warfare, and this is when you'll attack computer systems. An example of this is Russia being accused of manipulating social media during elections, so that certain advertisements and things that the people are seeing on social media affect the way they are going to vote. Okay, there are many, many, many causes of war. Some of them include greed. So this might be to gain territory, to gain land, either to gain new land or land that was lost in previous wars, or for economic purposes. A country might have certain things that one country wants. So, for example, oil is a big one that some people might say that some people go to war for this. Another cause of war is your ideology. If your country or your group have a certain political belief or religious beliefs, and you don't tolerate another country or another group's ideologies, you might go to war because of that. Another cause of war, probably one of the main ones, is to defend yourself against invaders, or to defend a weaker nation, or to defend against an unjust leader, for example, a dictator. Another cause of war is to bring about change, to cause a revolution. So if you're not happy with the way things are, you might go to war in order to make change. Okay, effects of war. As you can see from these pictures, these are just some of the effects. Casualties. So this is not just soldiers that lose their lives, but also civilians losing their lives. Either losing their lives, but also becoming psychologically damaged as well. And PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is very, very common among soldiers and civilians who have been affected by war. The economic effects of war, it's very, very expensive to go to war, and it can cause nations to become poor. While the war is going on, there's a loss of industry, and after the war, the cost of rebuilding a country can be very, very high. And it also has effects on the environment. The destruction of environment and the destruction of the infrastructure, as well as certain areas becoming hazardous and that can no longer be used. Okay, so this week, watch the video, email me or WhatsApp me if there's anything you don't understand. Assignment 1, read the scriptures and complete that. Assignment 2, read the notes and complete that. Make sure the work's uploaded onto Plus Portal by Monday at 3 p.m. I would urge you to be using extra resources. So use the Jesus and His Legacy book, but also take this time to do your own independent research. A lot of you are doing that in your JPRs, and this is so, so promising for when we start the coursework, which will be soon. So take this time to do further research, but include it in your JPRs and in your longer answers, so that your answers are developed. Remember, please, to reference. If you've used a website, you've used a newspaper, to use the reference and just pop it at the bottom in a little bibliography, just so you're not plagiarizing. Okay, grade 10, once again, keep up the really good work. Hopefully I'll see you soon. Stay happy, stay healthy. Bye-bye.